Hello, everybody. My name's Dr. Thomas Maples, and welcome to one of the areas that I actually have a studio in. And so I wanted to come to you guys today really to talk about sort of things that we can do as we move this process forward of getting used to parenting post COVID 19. As a lot of you may be parents, also, I actually my professional qualifications really are within psychology, and I practiced 20 years working with children as well as adults in various psychological settings. And so, one of the areas that I wanted to work on with people just on a voluntary basis, and I'm here to take questions as well, is really to help children learn how to deal with this, with the fears and anxieties going on, especially as it relates to the uncertainty they're going through. A question was posed to me actually the other day. Are we sitting there taking the time to ask children how they feel about this? A lot of us are dealing with our own anxieties present and trying to navigate day-to-day journeys. For myself, I'm learning how to be a stay-at-home teacher. My wife is too. And, we're learning how to live with one another again, especially in close contact, because this virus has really caused us to really, even though they're asking us to separate and break social norms or social distancing, basically we're kept together. And so being together for prolonged periods of time, I mean, I'm sure everybody's heard of things like cabin fever, going stir crazy. It can cause a lot of anxiety, and that's the emotion present behind both areas. And so, really, I wanted to start today and really just introduce this topic, and then help individuals. Ask by answering questions that they may have about ways they could work with their children's anxieties or psychologies, and really move the process forward into looking at ways we can effectively parent our children to learn value-based structures within the change that's really going on. And so the first thing that I want to focus on today, and I always love starting things actually out with a tale. And today's tale comes from Aesop. It's called The North Wind and the Sun. And I'm going to pull that up real quick. The version I'm pulling from actually is from the Library of Congress version. You can read it at read.gov. It's an interactive story that actually has some aspects that your children could click on and hear some things happening. But it's called the Aesop for Children version, and it is at read.gov. And the title of the story is called The North Wind and the Sun. The north wind and the sun had a quarrel about which one of them was stronger. Sorry if you hear my birds in the background. You may hear some disruption. So the north wind and the sun had a quarrel about which of them was the stronger. While they were disrupting with much heat and bluster, a traveler passed along the road wrapped in a cloak. "Let us agree," said the sun, "that he is the stronger who could strip the traveler of his cloak." "Very well," growled the north wind, and at once sent a cold, howling blast against the traveler. With the first gust of wind, the ends of the cloak whipped about the traveler's body, but he immediately wrapped it closely around him, and the harder the wind blew, the tighter he held it to him. The north wind tore angrily at the cloak, but all his efforts were in vain. The sun began to shine. At first his beams were gentle, In the pleasant warmth after the bitter cold of the north wind, the traveler unfastened his cloak and let it hang loosely from his shoulders. The sun's rays grew warmer and warmer. The man eventually took off his cap and mopped his brow. At last, he became so heated that he pulled off his cloak and, to escape the blazing sunshine, threw himself down in the welcome shade of a tree by the roadside. I read this story today really to give you guys not only a resource to be able to read psychological stories and fairy stories to your children, but also to know the importance of what these stories do for our children. These stories impart values and they impart morals, especially as it relates to things we find important as adults. And really, it's this perspective that's going to allow us to grow from this experience. We could take a look at this as being a catastrophe or whatnot, but we could also take a look at this and the things that are pulling us together. You know, there's been so many divides present that basically this is pulling us into a common cause. And so this disease, even though it doesn't know political parties or gender or any of the other paradoxes that we could assign ourselves to, it's basically taking these divides present and it's beginning to mend it. And so the moral of today's story is really gentleness and kind persuasion when where force and bluster fail. We could try to force things and make things happen, but oftentimes that just creates the very divides present because it really is one of those aspects that it feels forced. It moves us towards that. And so in the son's example, he gives gentle and kind persuasion. He just shines. He's just him. I once heard a saying that the sun never asks the earth to be grateful for its ever-present nature. And this is something that we awaken to daily, that we really become accustomed to, and really it becomes a process that we oftentimes take advantage of. We don't even think about it, but yet every day the sun rises and gives us life. It gives this earth life. In fact, if you take a look at some of the silver linings that can be found within what's happening right now on a global perspective. The other day, I saw a picture of a dolphin swimming through the canals of Venice. Now, I know they've had major catastrophic flooding, but now you see new life. Now you see a shift happening. I'm looking outside in the Central Valley of California, and it's not smogged. It's clear. And that's a profound shift that's occurring. So there's some healing that is happening, even though there's a lot of catastrophe occurring. And so part of this is taking this overall ideology and helping children to begin seeing this, to begin learning about what are the silver linings present in any of the life events that can be negative in nature. And so part of the things that we could do is really to help our children establish a sense of normalcy during this time. And so they're taken out of their environments. They were in school for 8 hours a day. Now they're at home. And part of that is us as parents. And from a psychological perspective, I'll come at this as well as from a practical parenting perspective. We have to adapt to this new life circumstance. We have to help them become we have to help them learn within the context of what it is that they're expected to learn at the school setting, but also to impart upon them the values that we hold dear. And so part of this, we also have to come up with schedules that halfway keep them entertained while hopefully most of us could get some work done at home. And so part of this really is to set up a schedule that allows them consistent breaks and ways to engage their happiness habits. The other day, I took my children outdoors to walk and we played Pokemon Go, not within a social gathering setting, but just walking around a university that's pretty desolate and staying away from individuals as they began to move, walk also. But it allowed them a presence of, getting out and hunting mythological creatures, being a kid, getting exercise. It allowed us to begin to explore our local history versus the history or whatnot of some far off place. It allowed us to really begin to use games and technology as a means to augment reality, as a means to see the things that that are historical within the community we live, and also to make a history lesson out of it. So a lot of this is sort of like outside the box thinking that we have the opportunity to move towards, especially as it relates to working through this COVID-19 epidemic. And so today's topic was really on weathering the storm. How are we going to weather the storm as parents? Well, as the story said, gentleness and kind persuasion win where force and bluster fail. Find your values. Find the things that are important for you to teach as a parent and begin to live up to those with your children. Begin to take them into places, do things. I'm in the process of moving offices, so I'm having my kids paint with me, and that becomes a fun exercise where we get to get dirty and be involved with paints and go from there. And so part of that is really just to think outside the box and have some fun with this, have some fun and let your children be children. So if you have any questions, please comment. I'm happy to utilize this as an interactive forum. If you have questions live, I'm happy to answer those as well. If you have questions in between videos, I'm going to post one of these a week. It may go more depending on the amount of topics that I do explore. I ask that you like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I hope to be working with you and seeing you again in the future. Okay, until next time, I hope you advance confidently in the direction of your dreams. Bye.